Fraschilla standing by in Norman, Oklahoma.
All right, thanks, Brad. We appreciate it as we're here live in Norman, Oklahoma. First 4 minutes of this game. Dave Fleming, Fran Fraschilla, happy to have you with us here for Big 12 Conference action. And Fran, two teams that have obviously had differing levels of success these last years. The Jayhawks have dominated the Big 12. Sooners trying to rebuild, but some real encouraging signs under their first-year head coach, Lon Kruger.
Well, Lon Kruger was the Big 8 player of the year in 93 and 73 and 74. He knows this league. He's brought a level of toughness to Oklahoma basketball that I think he played like as a player and a coach in this league. So they are improved, but they're taking on a Kansas team, although it's not as talented as a team as we've seen. It's certainly a team that's formidable in this league.
And we've already seen some of that toughness from the Sooners in the first few minutes. Their main battle here today is trying to contend with that guy, Thomas Robinson, who's having a huge year. May not be another player in all of college hoops, Fran, who's doing more for his team than Robinson is for Kansas.
And how ironic is that? Well, first 2 years, he had to back up the Morris twins, so he really wasn't a prime-time player. But to his credit, he's worked hard. He's averaging that double-double, and he's a key focus today for Oklahoma's defense.
Now, Thomas Robinson already has picked up a personal foul. Kansas cannot afford to have him in foul trouble. Really, both of these teams are not as deep as they'd like to be, so foul trouble could be a big part of the story. 5 seconds on the shot clock out of the timeout for the Sooners, who need to get one up quickly here. And Pledger got knocked to the ground. A scramble for it. Kansas comes away before the shot clock went off. In transition, Tyshawn Taylor's three is no good. And a rebound, Romero Osby. Oklahoma looking to push some tempo here. Sophomore Cameron Clark with contact draws a foul. He'll go to the free throw line.
You want to see that out of Cameron Clark. This is a guy that has not made a lot of shots in the last few games, and he admittedly has spent a lot of time on the perimeter. That's good to get yourself to the foul line early.
So Clark, in the midst of their tough season here in Norman last year, started a lot of games, played really well. He's got a nice future ahead of him for the Sooners. Just not shooting the ball well, as Fran said, but at the line, solid, makes the first.
And he's one of those guys that can be a complete scorer, because when he's on, he can shoot the ball, he can get to the rim. But when you're in a shooting slump, Dave, you really want to see yourself get some easy opportunities to score, and the foul line is one way to do it.
Romero Osby comes out for his first rest. C.J. Washington in. The Sooners will try to use whatever depth they have down low to keep those big bodies fresh, battling against Thomas Robinson and company.
And staying out of foul trouble, which will be critical, I think, if they're to stay in this game in the second half.
Now the Sooners playing here at home with the early 3-point lead against the 15th ranked team in the country. Robinson down close, where he's so tough, and he draws a foul. So Thomas Robinson, for the first time in this game, will go to the free throw line.
Well, watch how deep now Thomas Robinson gets C.J. Washington right there. And that starts with ball pressure from Cameron Clark. When you guard a guy like Thomas Robinson, there's three places you got to help from: the man pressuring the ball, the defender, and then some weak side help.
They tried with the help there. Robinson misses the first free throw. It was the help defender, Fitzgerald, who committed the personal foul.
I've said this many times as a coach: the first guy that is playing post defense is that man guarding the passer. And that time Cameron Clark had his hands down, and that was too easy an entry.
Robinson makes 1 of 2. That's one area where the All-American candidate could improve. He's not yet a great free throw shooter, and he gets to the line a lot. Sam Grooms, a junior college transfer point guard. Here's Pledger, steps back into a three.
And nice set play that there. You don't see a ball screen for a big guy, but that caused a little hesitation by Kansas.
The stutter step move, and Thomas Robinson shows off his improved perimeter game. Sooners, though, quickly on the other end. Clark looking for a screen, never really found one. And now he picks up the dribble. Pledger being hounded by Elijah Johnson in the early going. Here is Cameron Clark. Dribbled it off his foot. Stolen by Tyshawn Taylor from the ground. He found Relaford in transition. He scores.
A really smooth move by Travis Relaford to avoid the charge. A little sidestep move right there. But Cameron Clark, that's been a difficulty, creating a shot off the dribble.
That was a costly turnover. Fitzgerald from outside. Andrew Fitzgerald hits the two.
That's one of those really secret weapons I think Andrew Fitzgerald has, that 15-footer. And I think you got to come quicker if you're going to double him now.
Here's Robinson. The double came, but a whistle and a foul.
Well, we call Andrew Fitzgerald a below-the-rim guy. He's not a great athlete, but effective inside. But also the ability to knock down 17-footers has been part of his arsenal in his 2+ seasons at Oklahoma. He's another guy that's really improved over the course of his 3 seasons in the Big 12.
That last foul was against Cameron Clark on the inbound play. Relaford found a hole in the defense. A real good start for Travis Relaford. 6 early points, coming off a huge game against Kansas State. Had 16 points, 11 rebounds from his guard spot. Fitzgerald's going to try it again, not this time.
And now the danger of Fitzgerald falling in love with that jumper is when he does miss, they do not become as dangerous on the offensive glass. A big part of their offense. And you notice Fitzgerald's not going to guard Thomas Robinson early, the former high school or prep school teammate.
Fitzgerald and Robinson know each other real well. Played with each other at the Brewster Academy in New Hampshire prep school. Shot clock under 10. Connor Tehan just in, gives it up to Tyshawn Taylor, right through the defense. Tip up is good from Justin Wesley.
Tyshawn Taylor puts it on the floor. He's one of the quickest players in the country. You saw an example of that right there.
Didn't finish, but did avoid the offensive foul. Allowed his teammate a chance to tip that one home. Fitzgerald obviously feeling it in the early going. Draws another foul.
We'll take a look at this right here. Justin Wesley, the brother of former Jayhawk star Keith Langford, transfer from Lamar. He got on the offensive glass. There's Taylor to the rim, and Wesley will just sneak in there, get a hand on it, and get the easy basket. Okay, you have so much trouble guarding Thomas Robinson and then a guy like Tyshawn Taylor. You can't let guys like Connor Tehan knock down threes, or Wesley get some easy baskets around the rim.
Fitzgerald short on the first free throw. Really almost any offense that the Jayhawks get from their bench. Tehan can have some big scoring games, but is a real bonus for a thin Kansas team. Nadir Tharp checks in for Bill Self's side. Andrew Fitzgerald having a nice year. The junior, native of Baltimore, Maryland, makes the second free throw to tie the game at 13. Well, we mentioned Bill Self, the head coach, his 9th year, huge success at Kansas. And I think Fran relishing a chance for a much different kind of Jayhawks team to coach this year.
Well, I think he'd like to have 4 first-round picks.
Maybe so.
But he certainly, they've come up short because they've had some freshmen that were ineligible. They've got a very good recruiting class. But this is a team with less margin for error than most Jayhawk teams he's coached.
Connor Tehan to the bucket, missed the short shot. Kevin Young keeps it alive, though, and finds Relaford wide open. 3 goes down.
Travis Relaford playing with so much confidence right now, in part because he's become so important to Kansas's team.
Yeah, the Jayhawks these last 4 minutes or so really starting to knock down a lot of shots on the offensive end after a cold start. Osby back in off the bench, turned it over. 2-on-1 chance. Tehan is going to take it all the way and score off the glass.
When you watch Kansas on defense right now, they're giving Stephen Pledger no room. They're forcing Stephen Pledger to dribble the basketball.
And Pledger, the leading scorer for the Sooners team, having a tough time here in Norman. Timeout for Lon Kruger. Wants to talk it over. Kansas, after falling behind in the first few minutes, has turned it up, particularly on offense. Meanwhile, Lon Kruger, we spoke about Bill Self, Fran, and Lon Kruger has had a distinguished coaching career, but this is his first year in Norman. Left UNLV, where he had great success with the Running Rebels, a guy who's familiar with this league, and it seems like is poised to get this program back headed in the right direction.
Well, they're certainly headed in the right direction. The interesting thing about Lon Kruger is he's won everywhere he's been. 5 coaches in the history of college basketball have taken 4 different teams to the NCAA tournament. He's certainly one of them, but he knows this league. He knows the type of toughness you need to win in this league, and despite the loss at Missouri, I think the early part of the season has been very much a bright spot for Sooner basketball.
Well, a few years ago, Blake Griffin was here. The Sooners had a lot of success, made a nice NCAA tournament run. Since then, tough times for Oklahoma. And Lon Kruger is here to try to change that. He's watched the Jayhawks go on an 11-1 run to open up this 5-point lead. Still almost 12 minutes to go first half, so it's still early, and Tharp commits the foul against the point guard Sam Grooms. Well, there's a real connection between these two rivals from the old Big 8, now the Big 12. A couple of teammates from back in the day. We'll tell you about those two guys when we come back to Norman. Back here in Norman, Oklahoma, Dave Fleming, Fran Fraschilla with you for Big 12 basketball. Kansas with the early 18-13 lead. Two teams that know each other real well from their battles in this league. A couple of guys, though, with a lot of familiarity between each other. From the Brewster Academy team, prep school up in New Hampshire just a few seasons ago. Andrew Fitzgerald for Oklahoma and the great Thomas Robinson of Kansas were teammates at Brewster Academy and have been close since then.
Well, they have. It's a program that has produced a lot of terrific college players. And certainly when you go there, you're going to combine academics and athletics. And in this case, these two guys, as you can see, have remained good friends. And interestingly, early in the game, neither player is guarding the other, in part because they're so important to their offenses. Neither coach wants to take a chance on getting their guy in foul trouble.
And Thomas Robinson, who's having as good of a year as anybody in college basketball, has been relatively quiet in the first 8 minutes plus in this game. His teammates, though, Travis Relaford in particular, have really played well.
It's always important that when a team slows down your best player, that someone else steps up. And you mentioned conference play. You get the conference play. Everybody in this league knows you must contain Thomas Robinson. It gives a guy like Travis Relaford or Connor Tehan a chance to shine a little bit more.
There are games where Robinson hardly comes out at all. He's getting a nice rest on the bench here in the early stages still of this one. Fitzgerald gets a touch and a spin move baseline. Nice move by Andrew Fitzgerald.
Tell you what, this guy, Andrew Fitzgerald, we talked about how much he's improved, but to have a weapon like that fadeaway, really helps him.
Tharp, who's a freshman, pure point guard, not much of a scorer at all, had the ball poked away. And he'll come back and reset the offense with a lot of the depth for Kansas out on the floor right now. But Tharp travels with it. Turnover, Kansas. That's their first turnover of this first half. Well, Sunday night ESPNU is your home for ACC hoops this week. Maryland and NC State is the matchup. ACC Sunday night basketball presented by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups on ESPNU, ESPN3, also available on that great Watch ESPN app. Coverage begins at 5:30 Eastern.
Keep in mind, Mark Turgeon building at Maryland. He's got a freshman now eligible from the Ukraine. His name is Alex Len. He's going to be a very good player, as is this guy.
A guy who's improved so much. Stephen Fletcher hits the three. That gets his crowd back into it, ties the game at 18.
You can't let Stephen Fletcher get any space. You've got to make him a dribbler.
Robinson back in the game, gave it up. Relaford answers with a three.
Relaford with a little smile because Pledger popped him on the chest as he was in the act, and they're going back good-naturedly in that matchup. And Relaford said, I got you on that one.
12 points in the first 9+ minutes for Travis Relaford. What a start for him. And now Pledger put it on the floor, had it stripped away. Thomas Robinson lays it and misses the layup, and it goes out of bounds. They say off of Oklahoma, and that gets the Sooners and their fans a little riled up.
We'll take a look at this at the end, but once again, they made Stephen Pledger a dribbler, which is what you have to do. He was fortunate didn't pick up a foul here. Robinson misses. And that was a close call. Could have gone either way. But Kelly Self, the official, right on it.
Well, Kansas keeps it. Now Withy just throws it away, thinking that Johnson was going back door. He did not. The Jayhawks had not turned the ball over in the first 9 minutes or so. Now 2 turnovers in the last 2 trips for the Jayhawks.
Elijah Johnson now has the assignment of guarding Pledger.
Here is Stephen Pledger, averaging 18 points a game. Had a hard time finding open space on the offensive end. Fitzgerald has found some space, missed that shot though. .
Watching Oklahoma this year, they've played very loose on the offensive end, and I mean that positively. They're not afraid to take a good shot if it comes early in the shot clock.
Connor D had too much dribbling, had it stripped away. Now Blair in transition, switch to the left hand.
Oh, nobody got back.
And that's the result. That will not make Lon Kruger happy. An easy dunk for Thomas Robinson.
As soon as Blair scored that ball, Dave, Lon Kruger was exhorting his team to get back. And how do you lose Thomas Robinson underneath the basket?
That's the guy you have to know where he is at all times. Now a dribble off the leg of Tyler Neal, a turnover Sooners.
Now take a look right here. That ball goes through the basket. You've got to get back. Kansas, to their credit, gets it out quickly. But nobody finds the big fella, the All-American candidate, right underneath the rim. Both coaches have done a really nice job in the first 11 minutes of this game of rotating players in and out.
Trying to keep their sides fresh. Two teams without a lot of depth so far this season, trying to maybe develop a little bit more depth as conference play gets going. The screen from Withey. Tyshawn Taylor gives it up to Elijah Johnson. Down low, another touch for Robinson. Here's Relaford, who's had the hot hand early. Withey. He gets double teamed. Finds his open teammate. Taylor passed up the opening for three. Shot clock is down to 5 now. Withey gets the carom, throws one up, and they will not count the basket. A foul, but no bucket is the signal.
I think D'Angelo Fitzgerald is fortunate that ball wasn't in the act, because Withey looked like as soon as he got it, he threw it right up on the rim.
I thought so too. But they wave off the bucket. New shot clock for Kansas with the ball on the 3-point lead. Second foul against Fitzgerald. He goes to the bench. Dangerous pass. Taylor saved it. Now Taylor is wide open. Right wing. Three no good. Here comes Grooms leading the break. Good bounce pass. Osby was fouled by Jeff Withey. So Osby will go to the free throw line.
Another one of those examples of this time Kansas slow getting back, and Romero Osby got behind Jeff Withey. A really nice find by Sam Grooms, the junior college transfer who's had to come in and take over this team. He's done a really good job of running Lon Kruger's attack this year.
I'm talking to his head coach on the sideline as Osby hits the first of two free throws. Grooms was one of the best junior college players in the country last year. Osby transferred from Mississippi State, now a junior here at Oklahoma. Big physical kid who has really improved his offensive game. Makes both free throws.
Romero Osby, a very good role player at Mississippi State. Didn't feel there was going to be an opportunity really ever become a starting player. But he's been a nice addition to Oklahoma this year. Take a look anytime you've got a post-up situation, whether you're going to get pressure from the passer.
Johnson with the dribble. And now Taylor in the corner. Relaford, the shooter's touch again. What a first half for Travis Relaford.
Coming off that game against Kansas State, as you mentioned, where he's started to play with a lot of confidence.
Almost got called for the foul there. Relaford 6 of 7 shooting in the first half. Already has 14 points. Now a whistle and a foul against Kevin Young of Kansas. That'll send us to a timeout here with 7:31 to go in the first half. Two head coaches. Great success on the sidelines. Great success in this league, though, on the hardwood themselves. Dave Fleming, Fran Fraschilla back here in Norman, Oklahoma. 3-point lead for the Kansas Jayhawks with 7:31 to go here in the first half. Two programs with great storied histories. Two coaches with great personal histories as well. Not just as coaches, Fran, but also as players.
Bill Self, former Player of the Year in the state of Oklahoma. He went on to a solid career as an Oklahoma State Cowboy, NCAA tournament in '83. And then this guy, Lon Kruger, played for the great Jack Hartman. Big 8 Player of the Year in '73 and '74. Went on and coached at his alma mater, Kansas State. Was a successful coach there, obviously, before he moved on, coached in the NBA. And he and Danny Manning, the assistant coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, have something in common, because in 1988, Kansas State had a chance to go to the Final Four with Mitch Richmond. They played in the Pontiac Silverdome. They had to play their nemesis from the Sunflower State, Danny and the Miracles, and of course the rest is history.
Danny Manning, who had that storybook run through the NCAA tournament to a national title, one of the great college players ever. And Fran, he has turned into a very important part of this coaching staff with the Jayhawks.
Oh, he really has. When you think of guys like Wayne Simeon and Aldridge and Darnell Jackson, Darrell Arthur, the Morris twins, getting a lot of credit for development of those inside players at KU.
There hasn't been a big man who's come to Kansas and hasn't improved dramatically under Danny Manning's watch. Just about every player he gets improves by leaps and bounds. Meanwhile, the Sooners hanging with the 15th ranked Jayhawks here in the first half. 3-point lead, but Oklahoma has the ball. Pledger, their leading scorer, trying to find some space. Instead, Clark from the outside, an air ball. And the ball poked away, stolen by Young. Here's Johnson on the break, dishes to Young, and an offensive foul. Wave off the dunk. Turnover against the Jayhawks. Well, on Sunday, ESPNU will offer up 23, that's right, 23 consecutive hours of All-State BCS National Championship coverage. Begins at 8 Eastern. Experts providing unique opinion and insight into the game at 9 and 10. Relive the seasons for both Alabama and LSU at 11. We'll take you inside the film room as our coaches break down the game plan for both sides. So everything you need to get ready for that BCS title game, starting Sunday right here on ESPNU.
That film room is must watch when you think of guys like Mike Bellotti, all the great coaches we have breaking it down and showing you what's going to happen on Monday night.
Even a basketball coach, it's fun to watch those football guys break down stuff.
It's a lot harder when there's 22 on the field than there are 10, I can tell you that.
Foul against the Jayhawks. 6:22 to go first half. Bonus for the Sooners, a 1-and-1 coming up for the point guard, Sam Grooms. Much more of a passer than a scorer early in his Oklahoma career. But a chance for a couple at the line. Misses the front end.
That's why Barry Honoré is in there. Big body transfer from Southern. Just a really solid, give you 5-7 minutes a game kind of guy.
And that's exactly what he's doing right now. A lot of contact there, no whistle. Grooms hit the deck hard. Kansas may have an advantage. Taylor did not shoot the 3 in transition. Jayhawks will run their half-court offense.
Little zone right here, looks like. Matching up out of it. Oh, that's too deep.
Robinson finds Teahan in the corner. His 3 no good, and a foul coming over the top. Justin Wesley for Kansas.
That was a terrific box out by Stephen Pledger, but Barry Honoré helped on Thomas Robinson. Fortunate Teahan didn't make this shot. Take a look. Now he runs out. He's going to run in to help, but he's got to understand someone's got to rotate out to Teahan. But what a nice box out by Stephen Pledger on the backside.
Teahan, who shoots better than 40% from behind the 3-point line, so oftentimes he'll make a defense pay for that mistake. Not that time, though.
Bill Self's no dummy. He put him on the same side as Thomas Robinson.
Pledger's free throw is good. Double bonus for the next 5:49. So a chance for Oklahoma to get some offense at the free throw line. Pledger is such a good shooter, and that includes at the free throw line. Made them both.
Anytime you're coaching in this situation, you're the underdog, especially at home. You just want to stay close until you get to halftime.
Robinson had to give it up. Tough going for Thomas Robinson in the first half. Gets a touchdown low here and scores off the glass.
They set that play up twice on the same possession where they screened across inside in the zone and were able to find Robinson underneath.
So even a quiet kind of game for him. He's got 7 points, 3 rebounds. Osby, though, from the baseline.
And you see Oklahoma back in that what looks like a 3-2 matchup zone. But their inside players have got to be very aware of Thomas Robinson. And Kansas is a lob team as well.
Robinson found a little opening, came up short with the shot. Clark against Taylor, had it poked away. Great defense from Tyshawn Taylor.
Well, Clark right now is really struggling with his confidence.
Tehan misses the 3, and it's going to carry him out of bounds off of Oklahoma.
Cameron Clark had that ball on the 2-on-1, and he should have gone right to the rim and attacked the defender, especially because Kansas is in the double bonus. He hesitated and allowed Tyshawn Taylor to knock that ball loose.
6 steals for the Jayhawks here in the first half.
Bill Self runs some really good stuff inside of that zone.
And that created an open look, but Tehan again missed the shot. I think that would qualify for a good look against the zone from their top outside shooter, or one of them. Osby stepped inside the 3-point line, hits the 2.
This is what we talked about, Dave. Just stay close. Let the crowd get into this game. Talking about how much Romero Osby has improved that year out after transferring from Mississippi State, a rebounder who's worked on his perimeter game. Little pick and pop. He knows he's not a 3-point shooter, so he gets into his shooting range and knocks it down. Very simple, solid basketball.
Well, the Sooners have to be feeling good about the way this first half has gone. They have a 1-point lead. Still 4:02 to go. Coming off a blowout loss in the Big 12 opener, but away from home against a very good Missouri team. Totally different kind of Sooners team here this afternoon.
When you play in conference play, you got to have amnesia, because whether you win or lose the last game really has no bearing on the next game on your schedule. I used to say when I coached in conference play, let's just start a 1-game winning streak. Even if we have 5 in a row under our belt, let's just get a 1-game winning streak going. Of course, the way they played at Missouri, you'd expect them to respond the way they have today.
And this is an Oklahoma team picked by the coaches in this league to finish at the bottom of the Big 12. And certainly not playing like it so far this season. It's a team that has been surprisingly good. And showing it again here today at home against 15th ranked Kansas. Out of the timeout, Jayhawks against that zone. Tyshawn Taylor, still 10 to shoot, throws it out of bounds. Taylor's frustrated. Sooners fans excited. 1-point lead, Oklahoma.
ESPNU is your home for insight, analysis, and predictions for the All-State BCS National Championship game. Tomorrow at 8, our panel of experts break down the rematch. Then at 9 and 10, relive the spectacular stories and moments of the season for Alabama and LSU on the road to the All-State BCS National Championship. And at 11, our analysts go beyond the X's and O's to provide the game plan for success in the ESPN film room. ESPNU's championship game coverage starts tomorrow at 8.
Sunday nights will never be the same on ESPNU. Every Sunday, get exclusive games from one of the country's premier conferences, ACC Sunday Night Basketball. Tomorrow, it's Maryland versus NC State. In front of the home crowd, the Wolfpack begin conference play with a pair of CJs leading the charge against Terrell Stokeland and the Terrapins. ACC Sunday Night Basketball presented by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Maryland NC State tomorrow at 6 on ESPNU. Coverage begins at 5:30.
First half, Oklahoma with the 1-point lead against 15th ranked Kansas. Dave Fleming, Fran Fraschilla with you. And Fran, Oklahoma's used a zone defense a good bit in these last few minutes. What's Kansas doing to try to combat it?
Well, you don't always have to shoot the jump shot against the zone. Bill Self's teams have always done a good job of attacking the zone. Watch when that ball is swung to the weak side. Now take a look right there. They're going to screen the middle of the zone so that Robinson can come underneath, and you'll see good delivery right there. And I always say when you attack zone, you attack it from the paint out. If you just rely on jump shots, you're going to be at the mercy of whether that ball goes in or not from deep.
Thomas Robinson, 7 points. By his standards, it's been a relatively quiet first half. Kansas has gotten a lot done offensively inside that paint area that you're talking about. They've also had some outside looks pretty good that have not gone down.
I think when you play a team like Kansas that, let's face it, is a better team than Oklahoma right now, you have to take some calculated risks. And one of those risks right now is giving up the jump shot, and Kansas 2 for 10 from behind the arc.
Sooners up by 1 and with the ball. Final 3.5 minutes of an interesting first half, and Cameron Clark off the set play lob.
Be interesting to see if that gets Cameron Clark going, because that's what his strength is, attacking the rim.
Robinson attacks the rim on this side. Well, the game has picked up here in the last few minutes. The crowd has gotten more and more into it. Very intense first half between these longtime conference rivals. Osby had it poked away, and Travis Relaford comes away with a steal. Relaford floats and draws the foul.
You always like to see what a coach has cooked up coming out of a timeout. There's the high ball screen. Everybody reacts to the ball. Clark sneaks in behind, and on the other end, there's a great look by Sam Grooms. And then Thomas Robinson comes right back in the middle of that zone and drops that ball in.
Then after the steal, Relaford makes the first of 2.
We talked about attacking that zone from the inside out. There's a perfect example. Osby was late to the party. He did his work late.
Big first half for Travis Relaford. He puts Kansas back up by 1. Travis Relaford, with a lot of basketball still to go, has already tied his career high.
Which came a couple nights ago.
So he is obviously a confident player right now. Backdoor to Osby, who floats and misses the shot after switching to the left hand. Great move by the big man, just didn't finish things off.
If you're Oklahoma right now, you just want to go into halftime within striking distance.
So it feels like an important couple of minutes. Relaford missed that one. We'll see if the Sooners can take advantage, perhaps of some numbers. Pledger for 3. Rebound, Johnson.
Well, good look by Elijah Johnson.
Creates the layup opportunity. Shot was blocked, saved inbounds, and then poked away. Pledger against Taylor. They'll call the foul against Tyshawn Taylor. Pledger will be going to the free throw line. Well, when we are finished here in our first half, Dari Noka, Dino Gaudio will have our halftime report. Sports Center U coming up. Another interesting game here in the Big 12, Missouri, Kansas State. Duke had a real test, plus some football news with the new Penn State head coach. All coming up at halftime. Final 1:48 of the first half here in Norman. Stephen Pledger, the Sooners' leading scorer, hits the first of 2.
Stephen Pledger not only worked hard to improve his game, but Lon Kruger has put him in a lot of opportunity situations this year to create shots for him. We've talked about he's one of the most improved players in the country and one of the best open shooters you'll find.
It's both free throws. I've been impressed, Fran. He's got 11 points now in the first half, despite in the first almost 10 minutes of the half really having a hard time getting a shot off. So he's hung in there and had a good half. Johnson. Down low, Thomas Robinson against Washington. Spun right around him. Scores with the foul.
Oh, you love the way this guy has improved, and certainly he learned a lot playing behind the Morris twins. He recognizes the defense is on the top side, so he spins baseline and then a little touch around the rim. By the way, he used the rim to protect that shot from being blocked by C.J. Washington.
So Robinson, chance for the three-point play. Easy to forget, Fran, you referenced it there. Robinson is having such a great year, player of the year candidate. Misses that free throw. Tehan had it stripped away by Grooms. But Robinson, he was a big part of Kansas's team last year, but was not anything close to the star player he is right now.
Remember the tragedy he suffered. He lost a couple members of his family, of course, his mom. And he had a very, very difficult sophomore season.
Romero Osby, nice move in the lane. Oklahoma back up by 1. Final minute here from Norman, first half. Sooners with the 1-point advantage. Taylor for 3. No good. Too strong. A nice rebound for Pledger.
Now, if you're Oklahoma right now, even though you must shoot this ball, it behooves you to really milk this clock, not give Kansas as much of an opportunity to score.
Shot clock still at 18. Now under 30 seconds to go first half. Clark finds Pledger wide open. 3, no good. Maybe 2 open. A rebound Karams to the Jayhawks in the corner.
Great drive by Cameron Clark. Now, if you're Kansas, you're obviously going to hold for 1 unless you get a layup. But I think Oklahoma has won the early battle because they'll be in this game going into halftime. Kansas with a test on the road.
5 seconds. Jayhawks have to shoot the ball. Johnson from the corner. Air ball. So the Sooners to the locker room here at home with a 1-point lead against the 15th ranked team in the country, the Kansas Jayhawks. Travis Relaford has already tied his career high, but the 16 points not enough for a lead. The Jayhawks are down by 1. 34-33 Oklahoma. Let's go to Dari Noka and Dino Gaudio in the studio for the SportsCenter U halftime report.
Well, go figure. I mean, they get blown out by 38 points at Missouri this week. Come home, get a Kansas team who blew the doors off K-State, and look at OU hanging around up by 1 at halftime. How's it happen?
It's when and where you play in this league once you're in league play, Dari. And the win is after a loss. Lon Kruger has them ready to play. And the where is they're at home, second league game. Oklahoma's playing really well. The zone has really helped them.
7-0 so far at home. Stephen Pledger, a good first half with 12 points. So we will get you back out to Norman in just a bit. In the meantime, lots to catch you up on. This has been a wild Saturday in college basketball. Not good to be a ranked team. I suppose it makes sense that Kansas is down 1 at half. We're back in a moment. Dino Gaudio, Dari Noka. 4 undefeateds left coming into the day, one of which was Missouri. Frank Haith's team laid it on the Sooners, whom, of course, we are watching right now against Kansas. 38-point win this week. K-State just got blown out by KU, who we're watching. Rodney McGruder hits, and then Will Spradling for 3.
Kansas State is making Missouri guard in the half court, and they're not doing a very good job of it, and they're really locking down. This is a great performance by Kansas State.
Jamar Samuels, 7 points in the first half, and then watch this. Phil Pressey, meet Jamar Samuels. 44-25, K-State rocking undefeated Missouri. Speaking of undefeated, how about Baylor visiting a Texas Tech team who is not in their league? Okay, literally in their league, yes. They're really not in their league. Brady Heslip for 3. 4 of 5 from downtown, 12 points for Heslip, and then Pierre Jackson to Quincy Acey for the dunk. But Baylor's still down 1.
You would think Baylor coming into the game, the only way they can be beaten is if they beat themselves. And they did a little bit of that in the first half with 10 turnovers.
Yep. Right now they're up 5. You can see it on ESPN3.com if you are so inclined. How about Mike Krzyzewski and Duke taking on Georgia Tech? Again, you can get the sense. It's not a good day to be a ranked team. Not when other teams are doing that. Pierre Jordan to Jason Morris. What a play. And then Quinn Cook. Hello. Austin Rivers receiving end of a great pass. A good finish him.
We know Duke can score, and Duke knows they can score. But I'll tell you, Dari, this isn't like some of Mike Krzyzewski's other teams where they were suffocating on defense, never even let you make a guard to forward pass. This is not a great defensive team right now.
Interesting there. Mason Plumlee gets that. He had 9. Seth Curry, 15, led Duke. I take that back. Ryan Kelly had 21 to lead Duke in a close win in Atlanta. Meanwhile, Harvard, Dartmouth, that is now at halftime. Harvard up just 1. Tennessee beats 14th-ranked Florida. That's That's a difficult one to comprehend there. North Carolina leads Boston College, and West Virginia beats Georgetown. So the ranked teams, they just kind of keep on tumbling. All right, how about some football news for you? Bill O'Brien, hired from the Patriots as the offensive coordinator after a year, takes over now as head coach at Penn State. He was formally introduced to the media today, and like his predecessor Joe Paterno, Bill O'Brien's a Brown grad. Coaching ties at the collegiate level. Well, he's been an assistant at Georgia Tech, Maryland, and Duke. And again, he was hired by the Patriots in 2007, has spent this past season as offensive coordinator. Now it's on to Penn State.
It is my responsibility to ensure that this football program represents the highest level of character, respect, and integrity in everything we do. That includes my coaching staff, our players, everyone involved in the football program. We will take very seriously our duty to interact in an exemplary fashion with our great alumni, our students, our faculty, our fans, our media, and members of the community. There is so much pride in Penn State, and we will never, ever take that for granted, ever. That will also include the NCAA and how we go about competing at a championship level within the rules set forth both on and off the field.
Bill O'Brien, new head coach at Penn State. Meanwhile, Sunday on ESPNU, we get you set for the national title game, which is Monday. The experts at 8 Eastern road to the title game for both Alabama and LSU, followed by a special film room coming up at 11 Eastern time. And then Monday, live in New Orleans, Palmer and Pollock show at 3 Eastern. BCS Countdown, 2 hours from 4 to 6 Eastern time. And Sports Nation, a special Sports Nation at 6, all leading into that national championship game. Kansas and OU, a tight one at Lloyd Noble Center. 1-point lead for the Sooners back in Rome. Do you know some things to watch for? Miami and Virginia, best start in 3 decades for the Cavaliers. They've won 11 in a row. They're 13-1.
Virginia is a very good defensive team. 2 diametrically opposite teams, Dari. Miami likes to score the ball. Virginia holding teams to 50 points on the season.
Miami, Virginia, 6 Eastern, ESPNU. Now, before that, Notre Dame and Louisville. Notre Dame, tough to figure out. Maybe a little bit better at times than anybody thought. Louisville, legitimate team. Your team, I'm holding you to it. You say that team's going to win the Big East. What are we looking for as Notre Dame battles Louisville?
Well, first of all, these guys have had unbelievable games. 6 of their last 10 have been overtime games. Both games last year, overtime. Notre Dame has to be concerned about Louisville's press because pace of play is big for Notre Dame without Tim Abramitis, obviously out for the season. They can't turn the ball over like we see right here against the Louisville press. And they must guard the three-point line. They'll really lock on to Kyle Kuric, who had 28 on him last year, was 4 for 7 from behind 3. But this is the big thing right here, Louisville's press.
Notre Dame comes in 9-6. Again, not a lot of expectations, particularly once their star, Tim Abramitis, got hurt for the year. So that is something to keep an eye on there. Can they continue to bounce back and try to bounce back from that? How about Kentucky now? Kentucky hosting South Carolina. South Carolina's been winning of late, but their schedule has set up nicely for them to do that. Now they walk into Lexington. What will they face?
Possessions are big in this game. It can be a lot of possessions in the game because Kentucky's talent will take over and the talented freshmen will take over. Marcus Teague is really big for this basketball team. What he has to worry about, though, a little bit, Dari, is he's the second leading shot attempter on the team behind Deron Lamb. I think he has to limit his shots a little bit more. He's only shooting 41% from 3. And then the big fella inside, Anthony Davis, #1 in the nation with blocks per game at 4.5. This is the best defensive team in the country, and he's a big reason why. And I think Kid Gilchrist, I really think right now he is the very best freshman in America. 24 and 19 against Louisville last week. There's not a freshman in the country playing better than Kid Gilchrist.
52%. That'll do some things for Kentucky. All right, that's a little later. What's next? We'll send you back to beautiful Norman, Oklahoma.
You need power and skill to play in Division I college sports. But to be the best takes spirit, courage, and a unity of purpose to which many aspire, but few can claim. It's a new year and a new competition to determine the best in men's and women's college sports. With $400,000 in student-athlete scholarships at stake, the Capital One Cup, the race starts now. To learn more, go to CapitalOneCup.com.
Welcome back here to Norman, Oklahoma, where the 15th-ranked Kansas Jayhawks trail at the start of the second half, 34-33. Oklahoma with the lead. Dave Fleming, Fran Fraschilla, glad to have you back with us here, Fran. Sooners with that 1-point lead. Their two best players really stepped up in the first half against the Jayhawks.
Well, they did. Stephen Pledger, certainly a guy, one of the most improved players in the country, an outstanding shooter. Romero Osby as well, and you got to give him credit. You know, they ran some really good stuff to get Stephen Pledger open. He knocked down some shots. You got to make this guy a driver. You can't give him any space. Osby, the transfer from Mississippi State, really nice addition for Lon Kruger and the Sooners. That step-in 15-footer, and then he has that ability to finish out around the rim. And remember, one of their big three, Andrew Fitzgerald, was in foul trouble. Only played 10 minutes that half. He was 11, excuse me, and he's back on the court.
He certainly belongs in that discussion of best players for Oklahoma. On the other side of things, Fran, Travis Relaford and the Jayhawks played well at times in that first half. Relaford's already matched his career high with 16 points, but down by one, playing on the road here in Norman.
I expect Kansas to make more jump shots this second half. Oklahoma really laid off them.
Sooners run the half court here, and Osby just gives it away. Thomas Robinson showing some open court skills, and Robinson lays it in.
Talked about the improvement of Thomas Robinson, not just a brute inside. At that time, you saw some of that open court skill you talked about.
Behind the back dribble, switched to the left hand, scored in transition. That was impressive for the big man. Cameron Clark, little hesitation there and missed the shot. Here's Relaford on the breakout, and the Jayhawks are running here in the first few minutes of the second half.
I wouldn't be surprised if Lon Kruger, one more basket, he'll call a timeout, because you love the way Kansas has responded. I'm sure Bill Self had something to say to that team at halftime.
And that's a new career high for Travis Relaford.
You know, we talked about the focal point, Thomas Robinson. He gets most of his work done inside, but there's the steal, and then watch the ball handling ability in the open court. Behind the back and the finish at the rim.
So a good start for the Jayhawks. Back on defense here. Pledger trying to get free. Elijah Johnson just hounding him all over the court. An inside touch for Fitzgerald, who had that foul trouble in the first half. Has it poked away. Another Sooners turnover. And again, off to the races. Relaford got the shot up. A foul called. No goaltending. But Travis Relaford going to the free throw line.
Now this guy, what you love about Travis Relaford, waited his turn. He played about 10 minutes a game last year. He averaged under 4 points a game. A lot of people thought he might not be the kind of player that could have the talent to play at Kansas, even though he was a very good high school player. But he's worked, he redshirted, and he's gotten an opportunity this year as a fourth-year junior to really step up.
Two shots here for Relaford. Every point from here on out, adding to his career high, having an outstanding performance today.
I think the difference in this ball game so far has been that small forward matchup of Relaford and Cameron Clark.
Big time in favor of the Jayhawks. Relaford does miss the second free throw. But Kansas with the first 5 points of this second half. Fitzgerald against Withy. Now Clark driving baseline. Good defense by Relaford. Fitzgerald fumbled it. Pledger got it back to Fitzgerald, though. Misses the shot. Osby keeps it alive. Good offensive rebound for Romero Osby.
Well, Jeff Withey right now is a real annoyance to Andrew Fitzgerald. He's not letting him get close to the rim, and then he challenges that jump shot, that 7-foot-plus frame. This is a guy that in the half court, every time opponents shoot 2-point shots, Dave, he'll block 15%, which is one of the best in the country.
Off the inbound play, Pledger in and out, no good. There's Thomas Robinson. Not only the rebound, but the outlet. Johnson with the catch and the bucket. And it does go down. Withey, for whatever reason, poked it back up through the cylinder, but it had already gone down. So the basket counts for Elijah Johnson in Kansas.
Let's take a look. It might have been goaltended twice. Great outlet pass. Let's see, that ball goes up. Boy, I'll tell you what, that ball did not come all the way through the net. The rule is it's got to come all the way through the net, and it did not.
First bucket of the second half for the Sooners there over the shot blocker, Jeff Withey. That snaps his 7-0 run. I have no idea what Withey was doing on that last sequence.
He's trying to make a hustle play, but in doing so, was very fortunate.
Almost cost his team a bucket. Tyshawn Taylor, shot fake. He has not been looking for his own shot in this game. Withey with the double team help. Here's Relaford, the spin move, poked out of bounds off of Oklahoma.
Let's take a look at this now, because the rule is the ball must go cleanly all the way through the bottom of the net. See, Withey hits the ball. That should have been offensive interference. And very fortunate, but it's a play on, and Oklahoma's got to recover. That's a nice drive.
Tyshawn Taylor, maybe he'll start to pick it up on the offensive end. He's not played a bad floor game leading the Jayhawks.
Well, this is a guy that has been, as you know, very, very turnover prone. Bill Self said a great line about Tyshawn Taylor. He makes plays you can't coach, and sometimes he'll make plays you wonder whether he was ever coached.
Which is kind of a nice way of saying that he can be out of control, but he has that spectacular athleticism and the ability to create shots for his teammates. He can be very, very good, and I think he's playing solid basketball here this afternoon.
And he's a tough kid, too. Remember, this is a guy that had knee surgery in mid-December, and was back about 9 days later.
The senior finds Relaford, who passes up the shot, creates for Johnson, no good. And Robinson tried to rip it away, but it's out of bounds off of Thomas Robinson.
What you love about Kansas right now is they've not only come out with some more intensity, but they've done a really good job of executing their offense. And here's another thing, Dave. Bill Self's run some plays early in the second half that he did not show Oklahoma in the first half, so you really can't be in the locker room game planning on that chalkboard for stuff that hadn't been run in the first half.
And those plays have worked for the Jayhawks. Neal off the bench. Dangerous pass. Pledger with a good catch. Here's Fitzgerald. Kansas playing real physical defense now. And another ball poked and stolen away.
Well, that's the key right there. Kansas has dominated defensively. Lots of deflections.
The lob for Robinson, who finishes off the glass. Johnson gets the assist.
Lon Kruger knows they're in a timeout zone, so he's not going to waste one of the 4 he's got left.
That last steal was the 10th already for Kansas in this game, with almost 16 minutes still to go. Out of bounds off of Kansas.
Well, Thomas Robinson, we've seen him in the open court knocking down Jays. But when you talk about the big fella, potential player of the year, it's his stuff around the rim that makes him special.
ESPNU's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the Capital One Cup. Learn more and check the standings at CapitalOneCup.com.
Dari Noka, Dino Gaudio in studio. Kansas State just running over one of 4 remaining unbeatens. Rodney Magruder, the blow-by and the lay-in. Look what they're doing to Missouri. Baylor, meanwhile, now up 8 on Texas Tech.
Kansas State is executing in a half court and just locked down on defense, holding Missouri to 21% from the field.
You can see both of those games on ESPN3.com. Back to Norman, guys.
All right, thanks. So obviously big news around the Big 12 Conference. Kansas trying to avoid an upset on the road with the 44-36 lead. 4 remaining unbeaten teams in college hoops. Syracuse, what a great year the Orange are having. Baylor from this Big 12 Conference. Also from the Big 12, Missouri, the Tigers, and Murray State still undefeated. As we're back to action here, and a bucket off the inbound play for the Sooners. 6-point lead for Kansas, but big news developing with that score update we just heard, Fran. Missouri getting pounded at Kansas State.
And not necessarily a surprise once you get to conference play.
Travis Relaford, what a game. Hits for 3, adds to his career high.
You know what I love about him? He's got that smile on his face because he's waited his turn. Been around so many great players at Kansas, and he just bided his time.
He's made 3 threes. Kansas hasn't made another one aside from Relaford. He has led the way scoring-wise for the Jayhawks. And a part of this group, Thomas Robinson, Jeff Withey. Basically, everyone except for Tyshawn Taylor has gone from role player to a much bigger role this year. Osby altered by Withey. Missed the shot.
That's exactly right. That's what Jeff Withey brings to this defense. He is a rim protector.
Travis Relaford over the top, finds Withey for the dunk.
Travis Relaford is enjoying basketball right now as a member of the Kansas Jayhawks.
He is the guy making it happen. Kansas down by 1 at the half, 14:47 to go. Now up by 11. 11-point lead for Kansas on the road here in Norman, Oklahoma. 14:47 to play. We want to remind you that coming up on Monday, right here on ESPNU, we'll continue our 23-hour marathon of programming to get you ready for the All-State BCS Championship. At 3 Eastern, the Palmer and Pollock Show live from New Orleans. At 4, BCS Countdown. Then at 6, a Sports Nation special. A unique look at everything related to the national championship. Countdown to kickoff right here with ESPNU. Meanwhile, Fran, Lon Kruger trying to stabilize things for his Sooners, who are up 1 at the half and now find themselves just a few minutes later down 11.
Anytime you start to build a program, you've got to teach your players how to win. Oklahoma was up 1 at the half. Kansas came out and figuratively punched them in the nose. And Oklahoma did not respond. And right now you've got an Oklahoma team very fragile. Team that's not sure they believe they can beat Kansas, which is why Lon Kruger called that timeout. He was animated.
Now, Travis Relaford, who's been animated all game long, he has been so active, almost with another steal. But a kickball, so keep it with the Sooners. Relaford's got his career high, and it's not just his offense, his defense has been excellent as well.
You know, he started that Kansas State game on Monday night, or I think it was Tuesday night, where he got on the floor the first 5 seconds of the game, and Bill Self said it set the tone for the rest of that thing.
Foul against the Sooners, going for the offensive rebound after Tyler Neal was way off from outside. So another empty possession for Oklahoma.
Although you're a team in Kansas that lost a lot of players, that residue of success that has rubbed off on guys like Relaford and Withey and Johnson. Watch the lob coming.
And here it is. Johnson finishes.
I mentioned in the first half that Kansas, when they attack zone, they're not going to live and die by the jump shot. They're going to get that ball to the rim somehow. I used to coach this game.
You saw that one coming. 15-4 Jayhawks run. Kansas, they may run that play better than anybody in the country.
It's amazing. It should be on everybody's scouting report, yet they still get by with it.
Rejected. Another block for Withey. Relaford on the breakout with Taylor leading the way. Taylor, a bad pass, though. Got away with it. And Relaford finds another opening. Comes up short this time. There's Robinson to keep it alive. Shot blocked. Thomas Robinson again with a foul. And he'll shoot 2. Wild sequence there. But how about just a moment ago, Elijah Johnson above the rim.
Watch this set play. Johnson's going to come out of the corner. You don't see it on that shot, but that's a staple of Kansas's zone offense. There's the swing, the screening inside, which is the key. Both Robinson and Withey got a piece of the back line, allowing Elijah Johnson to use that great athleticism.
Well, it does sort of help with the All-American candidate Thomas Robinson at the line making the first of 2 free throws. Helps when you have a 6'3" guard who you can run lob alley-oops to.
That's exactly right. And, you know, they've had guys like Julian Wright back there catching lobs, Brandon Rush. Certainly Elijah Johnson is a guy that, like Relaford, getting an opportunity to get major playing time. A couple of years ago when Elijah Johnson was a young player and Bill Self was in the midst of these great recruiting runs, Josh Selby and guys like that, the media in Kansas said, hey, are you thinking of transfer? And he said, nope, I'm a Jayhawk and I'm going to be a Jayhawk for life. I'm going to wait my turn.
Well, he's waited and he's taken advantage of it. Pledger misses the 3. The Sooners really need a bucket.
Yeah, right now the Sooners are really squeezing the trigger on every shot.
But all Jayhawks in the second half, the 15th ranked team in the country, down by 1 at halftime. Withey in the middle of that zone. Good pass, and Tehan just passed up the open shot. Another lob, Robinson.
Well, and that's why he passed it up, because the way they've attacked this zone from inside out, Connor Tehan could have gotten that 3 15 more seconds later in the possession.
Unselfish basketball for Kansas, and the Jayhawks are playing above the rim at the moment.
Take a look. Tehan just swings the ball, and that allows that defense to move, but nobody locates Thomas Robinson on the backside. You see Romero Osby step up. He has to play the ball. Thomas Robinson has been quietly efficient today.
And not bad for a former coach, Fran, to watch a kid, Elijah Johnson, who finishes on the lob pass and then is able to deliver it the very next possession.
That's a great point.
So Kansas playing unselfish basketball. Bill Self has to be pleased with the way his Jayhawks have come out in the second half, because this place was rocking. Oklahoma played well in the first half. It has been all Jayhawks in these last 7.5 minutes. And the points in the paint, the battle close to the rim, so far in favor of the Jayhawks. 38 points in the paint for Kansas, 8 for the Sooners.
You can credit much of that with Jeff Withey, the Arizona transfer, native of San Diego. Another one of those guys that was so far down that Kansas bench the last couple of years that you needed a telescope to find him.
But he has become a shot blocking presence for Kansas. He's on the bench at the moment. Fitzgerald down low, moved to the bucket with no Withey there, missed the shot again. Offensive rebound. Grooms had it poked away. Very ragged offense for the Sooners.
Yeah, Fitzgerald shot that last shot like Withey was actually there. You could call that the ghost of Jeff Withey.
He has an impact on the game even when he's not in the game. A foul against Kansas. New shot clock for the Sooners. Pledger has been real quiet since the break. Bad pass. Another steal for the Jayhawks. Johnson leads the way. Relaford lays it in.
Well, the difference in this game has been the turnovers by Oklahoma, which have led to all of these runouts, and the Jayhawks have really taken advantage.
Attack, attack, attack. Off the break, Grooms in traffic, draws the foul, and scores a much-needed Oklahoma bucket. Well, that'll send us to a timeout. Oklahoma trying to hang on against a very good Kansas team, down 16.
Wednesday, it's a Big East Big 12 doubleheader on ESPNU. First at 7.
Oh, baby.
Senior playmaker Darius Johnson-Odom leads the Golden Eagles against the Red Storm. Then at 9, Thomas Robinson runs the show for Kansas, as the Jayhawks look to put on another highlight performance when they travel to Red Raider country.
Hello!
St. John's Marquette at 7, followed by Kansas and Texas Tech. Wednesday on ESPNU, the home court of college hoops.
Well, you see the lopsided second half score. Kansas running away from Oklahoma, playing here on the road. Dave Fleming, Fran Fraschilla, and Fran, the Jayhawks really getting it done out on the break.
Well, they really have. And you look at the turnovers. 14 by Oklahoma has led to 16 Kansas transition baskets. And it's been a terrific job defensively that has led to all of these runouts. Really unselfish. Taylor, Johnson, Travis Relaford.
Relaford's had his career scoring high. Had it in the first half. He's added to it in the second half. And those turnovers, Fran, the second half fast break points way in favor of the Jayhawks. It's not like Oklahoma's just been throwing the ball out of bounds, turnover, give the Jayhawks the ball. The turnovers have led directly to the fast break.
Well, and the thing that's impressed me so far is the way Kansas came out in the second half, first couple minutes with defensive intensity, and they've gotten a hand on a lot of basketballs to start this second half.
Chance for a three-point play here for the point guard, Sam Grooms. He's been pretty quiet today, misses that free throw.
Now this lead has also allowed Bill Self to rest Thomas Robinson and Jeff Withey.
Guys who play huge minutes ordinarily. Kevin Young underneath the basket got out of trouble. So the Jayhawks can reset. Tehan gets it back on the perimeter and has it stolen away. Jayhawks got back on defense though that time. Romero Osby just pulling his way to the bucket, missed the shot. It goes out of bounds, and it's Kansas ball. Well, Sunday night, ESPNU, you're home for ACC hoops. Maryland, NC State, 5:30. The ACC Sunday night pregame, 6 o'clock tip-off Sunday here on ESPNU. Kansas ball. Tyshawn Taylor attacks baseline, elevates and scores. The athleticism of Tyshawn Taylor on display there.
I was just thinking as I was watching Thomas Robinson on the bench, and you look at Wesley out there and Young, that one of Relaford or Taylor needed to be the catalyst in the offense. Tyshawn Taylor recognizing he had a driving lane, and he got right to the rim.
Fourth foul against Andrew Fitzgerald. Just 4 points, but those 5 assists. A nice number for the senior. And Taylor makes the free throw.
And you think of this young man out of St. Anthony's High School in New Jersey. You know, he's a lightning rod for KU fans because he plays a high-profile position, a position that's had great players. It's a rabid fan base, and it's really hard to keep everybody happy, especially when at times you can be inconsistent with your play.
And he has been that.
Yep.
But at times he's been spectacular for Kansas.
And you can't question his toughness because the guy brings it every night.
Osby.
That's good defense.
Had to give it up because of that good D, but now a whistle and a foul on the floor.
I watched that Davidson game right before Christmas, and Kansas's defense it left a lot to be desired that night. And I have a feeling over the Christmas break, especially when there's no limitation on the amount of hours you can practice, that the Jayhawks went back into that gym and cleaned some stuff up because they are very good defensively right now.
Relaford will take a seat. 24 points for Travis Relaford. The KU fans who are here in the building appreciative of his effort today. Biggest lead for the Jayhawks, up 19 here in the second half. A 1-point lead for Oklahoma at halftime. And the last 9.5 minutes have almost literally been all Jayhawks. Washington from that elbow area missed the shot. Johnson again looking to push tempo. Tyshawn Taylor, the player we were just talking about, with 10 minutes to go, running the offense for Kansas. Johnson dribbles in the key and threw one too high for Tehan, out of bounds.
And Bill Self is telling Elijah Johnson right there, shoot it, shoot the basketball. You got Wesley and Young out there. We're not throwing it to them. When you get into the lanes, 14, 13 feet, just put the ball up on the rim.
And even with the big lead, Coach Self wants to clean those kind of turnovers up. That has been the big problem for Kansas. Taking care of the ball. They've done a pretty good job of it today.
He got so mad at Elijah Johnson that he decided to put Jeff Withey and Thomas Robinson back in the game.
The big boys are waiting at the table for the next dead ball. Stephen Pledger. Elijah Johnson's played excellent defense against him. Young helped out, and Pledger missed the three. Osby, good hustle. And Oklahoma saves it in, but saves it into Tyshawn Taylor. Pulls up for a three in transition. No good. Wesley offensive rebound.
I don't mind that shot at all. You know what? Tyshawn Taylor has been solid today. He recognizes the two big guys are coming in. He'll have a few more weapons, and he's feeling it.
He has not shot the ball particularly well today, but he's had a great shooting season from the outside. Taylor came in 50% from three.
This is why Bill Self's such a good coach. He's run a lot of pick and roll plays, just using Young and Wesley as screeners.
Johnson with 5 on the shot clock hits the three.
And that's the shot that Bill Self wanted him to take the last possession.
Brought a smile out of Elijah Johnson. First three that anybody but Travis Relaford has made for the Jayhawks. And yet they lead by 22. Pledger along 2. Finally gets that one to go down.
Well, that's only the 8th point of the second half for Oklahoma. But you can credit Kansas's defense. I would have loved to have been in that locker room at halftime.
Obviously, the message was well received. Foul against Oklahoma sends us to a timeout here in Norman.
Well, all those NBA draft picks are gone, but there's still a lot of talent left on the floor for Bill Self. Elijah Johnson waited his turn, paying it off.
Well, Sunday, ESPNU offers 23 consecutive hours of All-State BCS National Championship coverage. It all begins at 8 Eastern. Experts providing a unique opinion insight into the game at 9 and 10. Relive the seasons for both Alabama and LSU. At 11, that great Inside the Film Room show. Coaches breaking down the game plans on both sides, all to get you ready for the All-State BCS National Championship Monday night from New Orleans.
I think they're going to have everybody on the Film Room show except my guy Dino Gaudio, who I think he can handle special teams for this game coming up.
I think he could. 20-point lead for Kansas, a day where the 4 unbeatens across college basketball in action. Baylor, maybe not as big a lead as you would expect playing on the road against Texas Tech, but really the big story, Fran, is Kansas State, what they're doing to unbeaten Missouri.
Well, no surprise. We talked about this going in conference play. A reasonably big rival, hard place, the Octagon of Doom. Of course, Kansas State coming off the loss this week to Kansas, and you knew Frank Martin would have his team ready. And by the way, the flip side of that is there's no way Missouri could have played any better than they did against Oklahoma this week. So I'd say I think what you got there is a perfect storm in conference play.
And that's what happens when you get into league play. You got familiar opponents, coaches who know personnel, rivalry games, hostile environments. We'll see more and more of those, quote, surprise scores as conference play continues. Bad turnover for the Jayhawks. Bill Self is ticked off on the sidelines. Nice pass, and Washington lays it in.
Yeah, Bob Blair Jr. getting a chance now. The junior guard from Houston. Nice delivery.
Now away from the play. Travis Relaford's in a lot of pain, holding his left arm or shoulder. And Travis Relaford is going to leave this game. Having a huge day. That is not good news for Kansas. They'll hope he's all right.
Let's watch the top of the screen right now as Relaford goes out. Looks like he bumps right into Sam Grooms. And you can see him hold that left shoulder.
So he is really hurting. Another turnover for the Jayhawks. And a quick timeout by Bill Self. despite the big lead, he's not happy with those last 2 possessions. While one of his stars, Travis Relaford, gets looked at on the sideline, Bill Self is giving it to the Jayhawks, who are still out on the court.
Now, this is vintage Bill Self coaching right now. He's got a 18-point lead, but he's making everybody understand that he's not satisfied.
Relaford looks to be a little more comfortable at the moment. Hopefully that's good news for a kid who's had his career high today and an outstanding week for Travis Relaford. He was huge in their win at home against Kansas State and is playing just as well this afternoon. So out of the timeout, back to action. Oklahoma ball, trying to chip away. Still 7:32 to go, so the game is not over.
You know, the problem for Oklahoma right now is they don't score the ball easily.
Everything has been tough. That was a good example of it. Fitzgerald, offensive rebound, another block for Jeff Withey.
You know what you love about Withey? He didn't even leave his feet. He put his hands right to the ceiling, and we talked about Fitzgerald being a below-the-rim guy, and there's a perfect example.
3rd block of the game for Withey, although he's altered many more shots than that. Withey trying to show his game on offense, missed the shot. Robinson in there, but it goes out of bounds off of Thomas Robinson.
Jeff Withey right now hearing it from Bill Self. Bill said, run the offense. We don't need that early in the shot clock. You're in a situation right now, up 18 on the road, as you can't put it on ice, but you can milk the clock and still get the same shot a little bit further down that shot clock.
Blair to the free throw line. Carl Blair way too strong, but Washington, giving them some good minutes, was falling down, had to get rid of it, and threw it right to Kansas. Quick touch down low for Robinson. The help came from behind to poke it away. Here's Blair, the bounce pass. Clark with the left hand and the foul.
You know what you love about Carl Blair Jr.? Didn't play in the first half. Got his opportunities, made some things happen last couple plays. Good decision right there, and a good finish by Cameron Clark. Right now, Lon Kruger just looking to build a little bit of confidence, because Kansas, honestly, Dave, they just steamrolled them to start the second half.
And for Coach Kruger, his sophomore here, Cameron Clark, I think a player who needs to get that confidence back up. Finishes to complete the 3-point play. And the best news for Kansas is look who's back on the floor. So Travis Relaford's okay, back in for the Jayhawks. As soon as he left the game, things started to fall apart for Kansas. Tyshawn Taylor, they left him wide open, and he passed up the shot. That's what you're talking about.
Bill Self was in his ear, even though Bill Self was 50 feet away. That's what you call mental telepathy right there. Don't shoot that ball early in the clock.
Taylor goes into the lane to score.
Perfect example right there. He passed up the jump shot, ran 15 more seconds off the clock, and got an easier shot in the lane. Believe me, he's heard Bill Self say that about 10,000 times in his 4 years.
His 4 years now, so I think your number may be conservative even. Here's Blair, who will go to the free throw line. Carl Blair's given the Sooners a nice spark off the bench.
He's a young man that started his career at the University of New Orleans when they were still Division I. When they de-emphasized the program, he was eligible last year for Jeff Capel, and is a good, solid backup and tremendous team guy.
Foul against Elijah Johnson. That's his 4th personal. Likely not to matter with the big lead for the Jayhawks. Final 5:44. But Elijah Johnson, modest scoring totals, has played a nice all-around game. Blair makes both free throws.
Early in the season, Oklahoma used some full-court run-and-jump pressure, and this would be a good opportunity right here. Here it comes.
Kansas got right through that pressure, though, and sets up the half court. Final 5.5 minutes to the Sooners have one last push, down by 15. Tyshawn Taylor under 10 to shoot. Going to take Clark one-on-one. Shoots a high arcing 3, way too strong. Rebound. Relaford scramble for it. And Relaford gets the loose ball and calls the timeout. Great hustle by Travis Relaford.
That play was started by Jeff Withey, because when the shot went up, that 7-1 frame was able to get a piece of it. He batted it back to midcourt. And you're right, Travis Relaford doing what he did in the Kansas State game in the opening few seconds. Bill Self said the team that wins this game will be the team that has the first players to the floor. Travis Relaford was that guy, and you saw it right there.
In the second half, the Jayhawks have unquestionably been that team. What a day for college hoops on ESPNU with all kinds of action already. An exciting game. Duke and Georgia Tech. This one here has been a good one in the Big 12. Big East action. Louisville against Notre Dame. Virginia's been a nice surprising team in the early season, Fran. And then the undefeated Murray State team, ranked now 18th in the country.
I had a chance to see Virginia early in the year. Mike Scott is healthy again, the 50-year senior. And he's one of the more underrated players in college basketball, a double-double guy. And right now, you'd have to say one of the couple leading candidates for ACC Player of the Year, the way he's carried that team.
With all the star power in that league, it really has been Mike Scott who has been the best player so far this season. Blair commits a foul away from the bucket against Tyshawn Taylor. I mean, Carolina, their stars, Duke, the stars on that team, and others in that league. But Mike Scott and the Cavaliers under Tony Bennett playing good basketball.
This last 5 minutes is going to be very interesting. I'm going to be watching Tyshawn Taylor. Here's a guy that's played with Sharon Collins and Tyrell Reed and Brady Morningstar, guys that really understood the game.
Robinson gets fouled. And no, not a foul. Jump ball, alternate possession. Arrow keeps it with the Jayhawks. Robinson sure thought he was going to the free throw line. Instead, he'll set up for this inbound play. One of the disappointments perhaps today for Oklahoma, assuming they don't come from behind and win this game, they played reasonably well against the big star Thomas Robinson, and it hasn't mattered in the end.
That's why this Kansas team is a little better than people thought.
Taylor turns it over. Well, maybe it's not over yet. Final 4.5 minutes. The Jayhawks are letting the Sooners creep back closer.
Remember the turnover bugaboo that Tyshawn Taylor has had this year.
Well, that was an unforced turnover that time. Fitzgerald gets a screen from Pledger. Misses the shot, though. There's Washington. Rips away another offensive rebound. C.J. Washington, the senior, giving Lon Kruger some good minutes off the bench. Foul was against Thomas Robinson. Washington will go to the free throw line.
Thomas Robinson did not go vertical that time. He's better off just letting C.J. Washington hit the shot over him. Instead, he came hands down over the shooting motion and put this young man on the line, the senior from Stringtown, Oklahoma, junior college transfer. He's been a good energy guy in his year plus at Oklahoma.
Misses the first free throw on every point. So important for the Sooners, down 15 with just over 4 minutes to play. Washington missed them both.
You're playing in a comeback game. Obviously, you need to make your free throws to put those points on the board, but it also allows you to set your pressure up. You're going to go high-low right here and run some clock.
Relaford up top.
This is a little bit of a delay game by Kansas. Been running this since Bill Self was at Tulsa.
Under 10 to shoot. Robinson top of the key. 3 was short.
Oklahoma has played much better defense the last 6-7 minutes, Dave, but they have trouble scoring, and that's been the difficulty getting back in this game.
Can't have empty possessions now. Under 3.5 to go. Pledger never found an opening. Withey was there. Pledger takes it toward the bucket. Missed the shot, out of bounds and off of Kansas. Oklahoma will have the ball when we come back. Do they have enough to come from behind? We'll see. 64-49 Jayhawks. Kansas with the 15-point lead. Final 3+ minutes here in Norman. The 15th ranked Jayhawks looking to move to 2-0 in Big 12 play. And Travis Relaford, Fran, is a big reason why he has played so well today.
Well, you know, you love this guy because of the way he's waited his turn, improved his game, and you know, he's got a brother, Trevor, who starts for Alabama, who's the younger brother, but he got way more attention the last couple of years. Not anymore. Travis Relaford with a strong all-around performance, not only doing it with his offense or his defense, but his hustle as well. The Bishop Miege product out of Kansas City, Missouri. You love to see that because when you're in a great program like Kansas, you're not going to be the same great player you were when you were in high school. You have to learn to wait your turn.
Well, we see a lot of kids around college hoops, for better or for worse, who aren't willing to do that.
Isn't it amazing? Jamal Branch from Texas A&M, he was only playing 19 minutes a game as a freshman only. He transferred.
Stuff like that.
Good luck to you.
Has happened all over the country, but here on Kansas, you get lots of examples of players who have waited their turns and are reaping the rewards in this season. Jump ball, Oklahoma keeps it. 2:53 to go here in Norman. When we're finished, more college hoops continues right here on ESPNU.
I love it when the guy transfers and he goes, well, it was the style of play. You know, it just wasn't my style. Basically, what the guy is saying, I'm not an NBA. I think I'm an NBA player, and I'm not going to get here at this school, so I'll try to go somewhere else. And that usually never works out.
It has happened with more frequency than I can ever remember here in the last year plus. The game that follows us, of course, as you saw, Notre Dame, Louisville. Louisville has had a great season so far. Rick Pitino and his team, definite contenders in the Big East.
And they have managed through tons of adversity. A lot of injuries. Still not completely healthy, but a deep team.
Well, that's a team where everybody seems to understand their role. Taylor had it poked away, got it back, and scored. Tyshawn Taylor, as the Jayhawks look to put this one away. Final 2+ minutes. A whistle and a foul. Sooners will go to the free throw line.
You know, we talked about Tyshawn Taylor, and there's that good Tyshawn and bad Tyshawn, and usually good things happen. But you think of, you know, Kentucky, where he had no turnovers, and in that Duke game in Maui, he had 11. Some of his turnovers, Dave, are what I call head scratching. You know, you just wonder, like, what was he thinking? But by and large, Bill Self is going to ride Tyshawn Taylor because he is a tremendous talent. And he is a guy that brings toughness to your team every single night.
Well, the toughness. Taylor with the knee surgery just a few weeks ago. Missed, what, 9 days? Right back onto the court. Yeah. Kansas has played an excellent second half, trying to hang on here against some pressure of Oklahoma. They've shot the ball well in the second half, and they've played good defense against the Sooners. On a day where Missouri has gone down for their first loss of the year, Baylor's had to survive a test on the road at Texas Tech. So ranked teams losing today. Kansas sure was in a position, Fran, where it felt like they could have lost, and yet here the Jayhawks are looking to move on with just 2:07 to go.
Now there you see Billy Mayfair. We got a shot of him quickly. The trainer at Kansas. I talked to Billy today, and I said, how did you guys get him back so quickly? And he said, well, first of all, Tyshawn does not swell very much. And secondly, he's just an animal at working and rehabbing. And he said all the credit goes to Tyshawn, because I said it's a minor surgery, right? He said, no, there were 2 tears in the meniscus. And when they played Davidson had a player with a similar injury. And Bob McKillop couldn't figure out why his player wasn't back yet. And they were still kind of waiting.
It's a tough standard, though.
Yeah.
The Tyshawn Taylor standard of toughness is a pretty high bar to meet. Fitzgerald, with the second effort, got it to go down against Thomas Robinson. Well, the Jayhawks have won 7 straight Big 12 championships. And in part, Fran, because they have not just dominated at home, where they have one of the great home court advantages in college hoops, but also because they are so good at leaving their home campus and coming on the road and getting victories. Speaking of Kansas playing away from home, several other teams didn't fare so well today. Florida loses at Tennessee. Georgetown been playing so well, but went to West Virginia, and the Mountaineers handled them. And then the big story of the day, I think, Missouri, number 6 ranked team in the country, undefeated, and they got blitzed by Kansas State.
Now, when you get to conference play, as I said earlier, none of these are surprises. You know, it's funny, Florida and Tennessee, I think that was an early tip today in Knoxville, 11 a.m. When I used to coach my teams, we used to play at noon games or early games. I'd say the team that wakes up the best will win this game. And you go, why would you say that? Well, college guys love to sleep. And if you can get them in the right mindset early in the day, I'm guaranteeing you now that the team that wakes up the best usually wins that early game.
So how'd you do that?
You made sure they understood that the other team wasn't going to be as ready as we were. And after a while, kids, they believe that. So when you wake up and you go through your routine, you tell them, hey, we've woken up great today. We're going to play great. It usually happens.
Well, this is not quite as early, but still a pretty early start. And Travis Relaford, safe to say he was ready to go. His previous career high 16. He's got 28 and counting. Cameron Clark will get to the free throw line. 17-point lead for the Jayhawks. Seems like a blowout. Oklahoma was up by 1 at halftime. The Sooners led this game after the first 20 minutes.
And the Sooners, unfortunately, are in the toughest stretch of their season right now. Missouri and Kansas. They'll see Kansas twice. They'll see Kansas State twice. And they will see Missouri and Baylor coming up in these first 8 games.
And for Oklahoma, a team that's trying to build its program up with Lon Kruger now here in Norman. A team that also has your son on the bench.
Yes, they do.
Your oldest boy, James, is a freshman and is a part of this Oklahoma team. And we talked to him before the game. Dad was here for a visit. He seems to be enjoying his time with the Sooners here in Norman.
He's had a great experience here. He really has, playing for a guy like Lon Kruger. And of course, he wants to be in the coaching business. Made his first shot a couple weeks ago against South Carolina State.
And speaking of, look who's checking in. And getting a nice hand. Although part of that ovation, also the Kansas players coming out. But James Fraschilla is in against the Jayhawks.
You know, the key right now for Kansas is to get this win, get back on the road, and get home to Lawrence, where they'll continue to streak. 34-7 in the last 5 years on the road for the Kansas Jayhawks.
Underneath the basket, final minute or so. Honoree with the block shot out of bounds. So Kansas keeps the ball. Both coaches going to their benches here for the final minute. Kansas will bring in Nico Roberts off the bench.
Well, there's 2 former St. John's coaches who have players on the floor right now, because Nico Roberts is the son of former St. John's head coach Norm Roberts.
Blair with the steal, and Blair in transition draws the foul.
Of course, Norm Roberts very close to Bill Self. Spent time with him at Kansas and Tulsa and Illinois, and now an assistant coach at the University of Florida for Billy Donovan.
So there he is, the son of Norm, Nico Roberts, who doesn't get a chance to play much, but on the road in a conference game.
I'm an equal opportunity walk-on guy, you know.
Yes, with personal experience now. But we got lots of examples across the country, Fran, of important players who began their careers, and some of whom are still walk-ons, who are contributing at a high level to some of the best teams in the country. So it's not just for moments in a blowout game to finish out the final few seconds. Your son, he contributes.
They work hard in practice
in a lot of different ways.
No, there's no question about it. You get a chance to work hard in practice, be a part of a program like this. Guys like Bill Self, I coach this way. You always want guys like that, because they kind of represent the student body a little bit, you know. And there's an attachment to the student body, and you see that in football all the time. Guys that are walk-ons that earn scholarships.
Now James pops up there. Might have taken an elbow to the nose. Tough kid, huh?
Well, they're going to look at it quickly.
Well, they got to take a look here in college hoops. And he really took a shot, Dad.
Well, he's a coach's kid. And right now, Bill Self, take a look. I think he's bleeding a little bit.
He may well have to come out of the game. In college, it is a new rule this year, and we'll take another look at the play.
Yeah, now watch Jordan Ginneman here. He swings that elbow across, and
the officials are
Yep.
obligated to take a look to see if there was contact above the shoulders with the elbow, intentional or not. And so they're taking a look to make a call here. But the rule change is a player who draws blood does have a chance, doesn't have to automatically come out of the game. They can attend to that player.
Yes, they can. But now this is going to be likely probably going to be a flagrant one here. Okay, and they called a flagrant one, which means it was not intent, but there was contact above the shoulder. Had there been, in the official's eyes, intent to hurt, he could have been ejected, but obviously that wasn't the case. But any contact above the shoulder becomes a flagrant one, which means it's a foul shot, 2 foul shots, and then they will get the basketball.
So it'll be Tyler Neal who will be at the free throw line. And I like what college basketball did this year. They changed the terminology. They didn't necessarily change the call, but instead of in the old terminology, they would say intentional and flagrant foul, and it was very confusing the way they marked those. Now it's flagrant 1, flagrant 2. Flagrant 1 means no intent. Flagrant 2, one of those fouls with intent, which can result and will result in a player's ejection from the game. That's not what we have here. Just the flagrant 1. But got a piece of James Frischilla, who's sitting on the bench now. Neal missed the first free throw and made the second.
I think Jordan Ginneman was just trying to clear a little room and inadvertently. And really, you know, we saw this play a few years ago. It's why the rule changed. Manny Harris decking, I think, Chris Kramer, Michigan, Purdue a few years ago. And, you know, I know if I were teaching that play nowadays, I would not teach sweeping the ball over the top. Not only because you can catch the defender with an elbow, but even if the ball makes contact with the face, it's a foul because the hand is part of the ball.
Well, isn't it funny how last year another Kansas steal, Firepaw on the break, misses the shot, tips his own miss in. Last year when they started emphasizing those intentional flagrant calls, people in college basketball all up in arms. How we've been teaching our kids the way to play the game. How can we change? Here we are just 1 year later. Seems like everybody's adjusted.
Yeah, there's no question. And these 3 guys these are 3 Final Four type officials, so they did a great job today, I thought, in a conference game.
Final seconds tick off the clock here from Norman. Kansas was down at half, but they come away with a road win in league and beat the Oklahoma Sooners. Final score 72-61. Coming up next on ESPNU, Notre Dame and 10th ranked Louisville. For all of us here from Norman, Fran Frischilla, and Dave Fleming saying so long. This has been an exclusive presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.